I have a one-word angry comment.
Okay.
Potholes.
We knew that was coming. We knew that was coming. We're ready for you. All right, here's what we'll do. Since you'll be the first, just your name and address for the record, and then the floor is yours.
All right.
Okay.
My name is Jim Tripp, in 5760 Elias Lloyd Road, Ellsworth, Ohio.
All right, Mr. Tripp.
And that was my spiel. Potholes.
Potholes.
Yes.
Where are they?
Half of them are about to be called craters.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Really, we need to shake that money tree that they have down in Columbus. It's raining up here. Rainy day fun. Get some money out of that thing, and let's take care of the citizens and not somebody's presidential campaign.
But you're 100% correct, and I'll tell you, not to make any excuses, but we have our county road engineer here. We have done everything we can do to lobby the administration of Columbus, both publicly, that we said that money that the state has basically taken from the county, our local government money, we have asked the governor to return those funds back here. And we would certainly be happy to dump that into a road program that I know Mr. Ginnetti would just be smiling ear to ear about. Is that right, Pat?
That's right.
Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would.
You're welcome to come up here if you would like to. It's your call.
I'll try. It's hard to smile when you're talking about potholes. I myself have written a letter to the governor's office. I know the Township Association has done the same, as well as several of the townships here. We're not making excuses. We have a limited budget. Our budget's been stagnant now for probably the last 15 years. With the increased cost of everything, I'm sure everybody's heard the same song and dance. Prices go up, inflation goes up, our budget stays the same. There's only so much we can do with what we have. I've gotten no response from the governor's office. I don't think the Township Association has either. Give us something. Give us a yes, no, maybe. We can't even get a call back. Now, next Friday, I have a ride-along scheduled with Congressman Bill Johnson from the southern part of the county. He's showing some interest. Tim Ryan's office is showing some interest. We still don't have anything, but they're at least giving us some attention, and we're showing them how bad our roads are. I didn't make the roads this way. This is the beginning of my third year, and I certainly would never wish this upon anybody, but it's my job to fix it. We're doing everything we can. We had two pretty good years of paving in 13 and 14, and we've got a good program coming up this year, but it's still not going to be enough. What's going to happen next year after we have another winter like we just had? The roads that don't get paved are going to be even in worse condition. We got a lot of roads in the south and in the west that the pavement's gone. We might as well turn them back to gravel roads. And we don't want to turn to that point. We haven't had to close any roads down, and we're certainly not trying to slow down emergency services or cause anyone harm. There's only so much we can do in any given day. We've got a certain workforce and a certain budget, and it's not enough to cover the whole county. We're doing everything we can. Denny brought up a good point at a commissioners meeting last week or the week before. We're talking to the prosecutor's office. We're talking to our Teamsters union to see if we can make that work. Hopefully I'll have an answer this week, but I still don't. These things take time. Unfortunately, we don't have time. So I give everybody my word that we're doing everything we can, even though it doesn't appear that it's enough. We're trying to get everything accomplished, and we only have so many hours in a day and so much money to pay for it with. So I appreciate your concern, and it's mine as well. Like I said, I don't know anybody that wants to take the beating that I've been taking this year. And you know what? The only thing I can do is come in front of you and give you the facts. Anybody ever wants to come and see our budget, you're more than welcome to. I'm trying to set up a kind of a field visit for all the township trustees so they can come in and see our operation, see how it runs, see what we're faced with. I have an aging fleet, and there's only so much bubble gum and duct tape that we can put on these machines before they finally go. And they're expensive to fix, expensive to maintain. We've got a big roadway system. We're the 5th largest in the state of Ohio, and we don't have the 5th largest budget. So, bear with us. We're doing everything we can. Hopefully it gets better. Hopefully we can get a response out of the governor or somebody bigger. Yes?
Frank Morrow, I live on West Reserve Road. How much of the budget goes toward material versus labor? Do you have any idea? Just a rough ballpark?
Which material? Asphalt, salt?
Asphalt that goes into a pothole.
We budget about $400,000 a year for patch material, and that goes for cold mix, hot cold, and hot mix.
And how much labor goes into patching potholes?
I don't think we have an exact figure per pothole because they're not all uniform size. I couldn't give you that number.
Because we keep talking about budget, money, and that's all good. We all live on a budget, and we're not making any more money, so we got to do what we can do. And our eyes don't lie. You drive down the road, you see a truck with a shovel and 5 guys. It isn't so much always money; it's how long it takes to do something that shouldn't take as long as it takes.
Well, it does take a long time to fill potholes. If you think about it, the guys are putting down thousands and thousands of pounds of material by hand. Each truck will hold about 8 tons of hot mix on the bigger dumps. Crew cabs hold about 2 tons at a time. And 2 tons of material is 4,000 pounds. That's a lot to shovel. And they're doing multiple loads per day. There's only so much you can get done. Physically, yeah. It's going to wear the guys down and beat them down.
Methods to fill potholes other than, a shovel and a truck?
Well, we've looked at the Durapatch machine, which is I think you've seen it on Facebook and on the news. Cleveland use it. It's the big truck with the elephant trunk. That's very expensive. That's quite a bit of money just to come in, and it's not even a guarantee it's going to fix them permanently.
That's my question. How much are we paying for labor versus something that'll do 10 times more work? If we don't know that answer, I think we should know how much it costs to fill potholes. We keep talking about $400,000 on your budget. Doesn't seem like a whole lot.
Well, when you look at the big picture, though, filling potholes isn't the only responsibility. We have snow and ice control. We pave roads. We have culverts. We've got bridges. We've got over 3,000 culverts. We got about 300 bridges, almost 500 miles of roadway. We have ditches. We do mowing, street sweeping. There's a lot of facets to this job. It's not just one particular item. Right now it is. It seems like it, but that's not the only thing we do.
Realize that, but when cars go down your road and blow out tires constantly, and you buy new tires and you got to replace them within 2 weeks, it's not a fun thing.
I understand that. I drive the same roads, and I don't have a special vehicle. I don't have a helicopter that gets me from A to B. I have to do the same thing. I'm as frustrated as you are. I've had to change tires myself, and there's only so much we can do. If anybody has a better option of filling the potholes, I'm all ears. Yes, Joe?
No, I don't have an option. I just have a question. What would be on some of the really bad roads and some of the township roads? They're impassable, like going 5 miles an hour is still too much. What would be the feasibility of taking those roads and grinding them down and then reutilizing the material and then rolling it back out? Is that even something that's feasible?
No. Number one, we don't have a grinder. Number two, if you grind that road down, now you're exposing that layer of asphalt, whether it's the base or whether there's even any base there, to the elements. That's going to also fall apart and crack. You're going to have potholes. It's going to be even worse. Usually the underlying course is a bigger stone. It's more coarse. It's not going to withstand like the surface courses do. Yes, Tom.
Tom Frost, Jackson Township trustee. I think we all agree we're in an emergency status at this point, and I know I've conveyed this message before. I know Pat and I had talked, but my question is, where is the Ohio National Guard? Because to me, this is an emergency. We pay for that. They call them out for other things. Why can't we use the Ohio National Guard for something like this, or at least request it?
You sure can.
Well, one point that Tom says, he's right. We had the worst winter that we've had in a long time. The governor knew how severe it was. He knew the damage that the roads would be in. The salt situation was out of sight. It was to a point where nobody could even afford it. And yet, here's the aftermath, and there's silence from Columbus. It's just not fair, and I understand what that gentleman's saying in the back. about it not being dollars and cents. There's got to be other ways of doing things with what you have to make it work. But Tom, I agree with you. But continue.
Just to continue with that, I know myself, I call the commissioner, or not the commissioners, but the engineer's office quite often. Our superintendent out here, we communicate almost daily. And I believe the engineer's office is doing everything they absolutely can do. It just has grown to proportions much larger than what our engineer's office is. And it's desperate. I think we're in desperate need right now, and it's an emergency situation, and I think it needs to be approached that way.
Absolutely. Carol?
I think, as you were at a commissioners meeting a couple weeks ago, what I think Pat is trying to work on right now, waiting for some answers probably from the prosecutor's office on some things that he wants to see happen with the filling of the potholes, along with our office. And we're still going to be planning that trustees and our office and Pat's office. And at that meeting, we're going to bring in state and federal legislators to come in and listen to that. It will be publicized, and they will be made aware, and the questions that you have for us could be directed to them, because they're the ones that have to get the purse strings released from Columbus. And I think it's not an issue just in Mahoning County. This is all over the state of Ohio. I was in Cuyahoga County a couple weeks ago, and the roads are deplorable there. So it's not only us that are facing this. I just want to let you to know that. Not making any excuses. I drive the same way you do. I'm all over the place. And I realize that. But we are trying to do that. And once we could get all the legislators that we need at our meeting to there, we are going to put together that force and come up with a solution. I mean, and another thing, Pat, you have to tell them is that the cost of the patch mix, as well as the cost of the salt, has almost tripled.
10 times the salt.
I mean, the
Salt went
is,
up 500%, but that's only one part. The patch is, it's up from years ago, but it's pretty much consistent from where it was last year. But again, you only have so much money to buy patch material, and there's more roads than we have money to patch. What we need to do, putting a 2-inch overlay on top of roads isn't fixing them. That's putting a Band-Aid. And the only way to properly fix our roads is to rebuild them from the base up. We have poor drainage, we have poor soils, and putting 2 inches of asphalt on top of that, it's going to break. It's going to crack. You're going to see cracking the very next year. You're riding on top of mush. When that water retains in the base, it's going to freeze thaw. It's going to pump when the cars go over it. It's going to break. It's not going to last forever. In order for us to properly fix the miles that we have, we would need $500 million. And if I had $500 million right now, I couldn't fix everything like that. It would take years to rebuild all of our roads. Now, the County Engineers Association of Ohio, the National Association of County Engineers have been lobbying not only on the state level but on the national level. At the end of this month, the Highway Trust Fund is going to be insolvent if the feds don't do something. The Highway Trust Fund is what gives us money to do federal aid projects. If we don't have that money, who knows what's going to happen. This is a nationwide problem. It's not just Mahoning County. And I've been saying this for months. I get it because I live here and I drive the same roads. We all think our roads are the worst, and they may be, but this problem is happening across the country, across the state. This is not just here. Something needs to change. And we're pushing hard, but we're not getting any response yet. I'm sorry that I've taken over the meeting into a pothole discussion.
No, I'd like to add something to that.
We appreciate you being here.
Obviously we need an influx of new monies, different monies, to try and help the current situation. And there's some things that are being done, but obviously it takes a while to get the ball rolling. Our board created a TIF with the Racino that's going to generate $7 million into the county on tax increment financing. We're literally taking 50% of every tax dollar that Hollywood Casino pays and utilizing it for infrastructure in the county. And that's one of the projects that, when we were talking to Pat up front about it, that if you could bring in $7 million and he's able to use that, say, as 20% matching funds, he can parlay that money into $25-30 million. So, but it comes in slowly. We're not going to get our first payment until 16 or 17, and then we're looking at matching funds for Meridian Road on that one project. But those are things like Tom Frost brought to us in Jackson around the industrial park to try and create a TIF there, utilize half the tax dollars, because the new roads coming in make it more and more difficult. Trust me, especially on the trustees end of it, I know where you're coming from. I lived that for 20 years, on what we're restricted, and whether it's gas tax or, license plate fees, and, we really get the low end of the stick on that respect. So it's really something that you're trying to find new and unique opportunities. And Pat, used the shale, people to pave what the last 2 years, believe it or not, more road miles have been paved on county roads than ever in the history of Mahoning County in a 2-year period.
Pat, will you tell us how you did
We
that?
did over 100 miles. And what we did is we required these companies that were coming in to sign RUMA agreements, road use maintenance agreements with us, basically ensuring that any road that they drove on with their overloaded vehicles that they damaged, they had to repair. And we had to fight long and hard. They didn't come in with an open checkbook, willing to come in and fix roads. They wanted to come in, do nothing, get their project done and get out of here and leave the roads to us to fix. And a lot of the roads that they were on, Berlin Station Road, for example, could not withstand the loading, the number of trucks that were on those roads. They destroyed that road. And we had to fight them because that wasn't part of their original haul route and force them to fix it. And they did. After we got through the 12 months of fighting with them, we finally got down to business, and they saw what they were doing was causing problems, and they were able to at least honor the agreement, and they did fix a lot of roads. We were able last year to get about 75 miles paved in 1 year. The year before we got about 30. So we did over 100 miles in 2 years. And along those lines, we just got word that the Ohio Public Works funding money has been set up for program year 16, which is this year's grant applications. There's about $9.8 million, which is about 1.1 higher than last year. But that $9.8 million is distributed between Mahoning and Trumbull County, all of the townships. There's 14 townships in Mahoning, 24 townships in Trumbull, all of the cities and villages in both counties. When you do the math, $10 million to be distributed amongst the 2 counties, all their townships, all their villages, all their cities, isn't a lot of money. Mahoning and Trumbull usually take the lion's share, the counties themselves, for our paving program. Again, we have a big program coming up. We set aside almost $1 million for local match. Like Dave said, we're required to put down, now the way the scoring goes, 46 to 60% of the project in local funds. So we're putting up about 50% of the money. So we do a $2 million project, we're putting $1 million up of our own money. So again, that's not going very far anymore either. We took out a loan this year as well, $1 million loan, just to try to get more miles done. This, I think, is the first year in a long time, if ever, that at least one road in every township is going to be paved. Some are going to get more than others, and like I said when I came in, I don't care where your road is. If it's bad, it needs to be done. We're going to try to figure out a way to get it done. It may not happen tomorrow, but we're going to get to it, and we're going to get it fixed. It's just going to take a little bit of time. I don't have a magic wand. I mean, it's only been 2 years, and I think we've done pretty well, but we got a lot of work ahead of us. And I come to these meetings. I don't bring a representative to speak on my behalf. I'm going to face you and just tell you the facts, and if you still think I'm doing a bad job, then we'll try to fix that. But I'm not going to BS you. I'm going to give you all the information, and you go from there.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
You used to have a gentleman by the name of Gary Zintz. Now you have somebody new. When Gary was there, you could always call him and talk to him. Person you have now, you can't get a hold of. You call down there, it'll ring forever. Finally, some lady will answer and ask what you want, and I'll make a note of it and pass it on. There's no more talking individually to the person. When he was there, he would come out and look at what was wrong, and then he would make a decision. He would tell you. You can't even talk to whoever you have now.
I'm not sure who you're calling for, but...
Whoever replaced Gary Zintz.
Well, Gary's still there.
But he's no longer...
Gary's in a different district now.
Right, but I mean, he's not downtown where he was before.
No, he's in a different district because that district needed some attention.
Well, whoever replaced him doesn't answer the phone there.
Well, I'll look into that. Yes.
Mr. Dirk, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest, I don't know whether Pat's really looked at it, but yesterday some of the trustees and our maintenance man had the privilege of going up to Cleveland and watching them do a recycle job. And then he took us and he showed us roads that he had recycled, roads that he had chipped and sealed. And I'll tell you what, the recycle is really, it really opened our eyes. You know, they come in and they'll chew up 6 inches and put it back down and then put 2 inches of new on top. So you end up with about 8 inches. And he showed us, and I realized what he was showing us, and some of it was parking lots. But even the parking lots were there for 20 years, and they looked like they were brand new.
We've actually done that on several roads. We did that on Miller Road, Arrow Road in Kansas in Poland Township. We did it on New Road in Jackson Township. We did it on Berlin Station last year as well. It does work great. It's also very expensive. It's about triple the cost. I would like to do that on a lot of roads, but again, with only so much money.
Well, now his price to us for doing a parking lot for recycling it's not much more than
You're comparing apples and oranges there.
Yeah, I realize.
With a roadway, you're going to come in and grind it up. You got to reprofile the road, re-roll it, and we're putting 6 inches back on top. We're putting 4 inches of base and 2 inches of top. We're building them back the right way. A parking lot, you can get away with probably 2 inches of asphalt. You can't do that on a road. You put 2 inches of asphalt on top of base, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have a dirt road in the manner of, after a winter like we had, that's not going to last. A parking lot doesn't get the amount of traffic that our roads get. Trust me, we've looked into that. I like the operation. I like the procedure. It's just expensive.
You know, one other thing, you know, when Pat and I were talking about money, you know, and trying to find an influx of something, you know, the state takes 5.75% of our sales tax. You know, Mahoning County pays 7.25%. Well, the state of Ohio takes 5.75%, and the county gets 1.25%. So we all know what's happened to local government funds and townships and how they've continued to take our money away from us. I mean, really what we need to do is do a radical initiative and try to force the governor to give us, or the state legislature, to give us a 0.25% sales tax back from what the state's taking. If we had a 0.25% and generated $8 or $9 million a year and dedicated it just to roads, you know, in 5 or 6 years, I mean, Pat could have every road in Mahoning County, you know, paved and redone.
Well, and you bring up a good point. We get no sales tax. We get no property tax. We are funded from license plates and gasoline. That's it. Every county engineer in Ohio is funded the same way. And I've said this enough times that I'm tired of hearing it. With high-efficiency cars, electric cars, natural gas vehicles, the amount of gas people are buying is less. Now, we've got a little bit of a break. The gas is down into the, 230s, 240s. When it's up around $4 a gallon, people are buying less gas and driving less. That hurts us. Right now, we're getting a little bit of a break, but with the high-efficiency cars, people are still buying less gas than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You know, my budget's about the same as it was 2 engineers ago, back into the 90s. And it's hard to make things happen with that amount of money. And like I just said, the state money, $10 million to be divvied up between 2 counties. The federal money, who knows what's going to happen. That we still got a few weeks till the feds decide that. And our local budget, that's what we have.
Jim Stankich? Hold on, Jimmy's going to go. Jimmy, go ahead.
We're funded partially, you said, Pat, through that license plate fee. How much is that, $10?
$15.
$15? Is that a county tax? I mean, can you raise that?
No, we cannot raise it.
Because I was going to say, you know, reasonable people, if they see that the money is being used, like, for instance, I just put $400 into my front end. And, I mean, what's the difference if I paid $400 to Joe Blow down there to fix my front end, or pay $200 to you guys and see the roads fixed up? I mean, you know, that's a no-brainer. So I think if there was some way that you guys could raise some money specifically for this, I think reasonable people, and they saw the money being used for these potholes, I think reasonable people would go for it. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm trying to say that I think that way.
I would like to
hope
see
other
every
people-
resident give us $200. We can do quite a bit.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, what's the difference?
You're right.
And there's got to be I mean, you go down there and front end shop downtown, you see a line of cars in there, boy, everybody's got to get their front end fixed. And I'm not saying it's all because of potholes. I mean, front ends go anyway. But, you know, I mean, if you guys could raise some, I thought maybe that's the reason I brought it. I thought maybe you guys could raise that up.
It's good to hear. Kick everything around. See what falls. Because if we're waiting on Washington, D.C., we're not getting nothing. They used to fund that federal highway transportation bill for the whole country at $100 billion. Mahoning County has not seen a dime. And Pat, you know that. And I had to do some research on that. Put into any road infrastructure improvement projects. And I don't understand why that is an issue. Maybe some of that foreign aid should start coming back here to this country. They talk about infrastructure programs, but yet there's no money coming back, and he mentioned about the Federal Highway Trust Fund.
We do have Western Reserve Road and Bailey Road are on the federal aid system that we submitted plans that we're going to get funded for next year, but we still have to pay the 20% local match. So on a $1 million paving project, we still have to come up with $200,000. So that $200,000 going on that one road comes out of our entire paving program. So, I mean, it's a complicated system, but, you know, it's a shell game. We got to move money around to get things done, and that's what we're doing. Yes, Artie?
Artie?
Yeah. Art Spellnell, we're Township. Thanks, Pat. And thanks for explaining some of those things about knowing that it's a Band-Aid when we patch everybody. It's kind of a feel-good thing, but 2 weeks later, we have another pothole on the other side. And I heard you talk about the construction of the road. When it comes to money, if we do things, build them the same way, if we maintain them the same way, and we repair them the same way, we're going to get the same results. So really, it takes a major, like a Manhattan-type project where we get some think tank. We have, and I'll never speak for the Township Association, but we have a meeting Thursday, Pat, and you've gone to many of these meetings, and I commend you for facing the public about this. But we have a meeting Thursday night that, you know, maybe one of the commissioners can attend and do some thinking. I heard Tom's name here today, Fred's, Jody's, Denny's. Maybe we can take it, maybe it's baby steps, but we can talk about some other things that we can possibly do. Township making contributions in other ways. Denny had a suggestion, and maybe monetary. Those are the type of things we need to do so we move forward instead of looking for grabbing donkey tails, looking for behind and put them on. We got to fix the problem here, so we need to do that. And lastly, Pat, thanks. It's been years, and the commissioners, thanks. Western Reserve Road, we had a water problem over here. Pat, that was a big project. I don't know what that cost, but that debated a potential health problem in West Reserve Road. Not on Frank's end of the road, but the other end.
About $120,000.
And I'm glad to see with all the money crunch that we did address that. Again, thanks, Commissioner.
Well, we did that. That was an in-house design. We did that internally to save money. I didn't feel it was necessary to sub that out to a consultant and pay probably another $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for design on top of the construction cost. And, you know, drainage issues are a big problem. People don't understand. If the water doesn't get out of there and get moving, it's going to saturate that subbase, which is going to help destroy that road even faster. In the winter, some of the roads that were paved last year, you drove over and it was like a washboard. That's the freeze thaw. That's that frost heave. It comes up, it'll go back down, but it's going to crack the pavement. You know, asphalt's a flexible pavement, but it's only going to flex so much before it breaks.
And lastly, Pat, just that, and Jody may, and there's enough trustees help maybe facilitate maybe next Thursday, one of the commissioners, and maybe we can try to facilitate a portion of our meeting to do some ideas.
Where's that?
We don't know yet. It's a week from Thursday.
Well, it's not this week.
It's a week from Thursday.
We don't know where the meeting's at.
It could be out of office.
It could be, yeah, it could be another location. We're not real sure it's right now.
But Jody does a great job emailing. Maybe possibly.
Jody does do a great job of emailing. I'll get 4, 5, 6 in the same email on the same day sometimes. I commend you
You're on my
on your
list.
persistence.
You're on my list.
Jody's mean. She's mean.
Cutting back trees in areas where they hang out over the roads and cause some moisture problems. What do you stand on doing something with that in the future?
Well, we bought the bucket truck last year from another county to enable us to do more, reach a little higher in-house. We also have a tree cutting contract with one of the bigger tree cutting firms. Right now, we're focused on trying to get the roads patched. Once we get through this, we'll begin mowing and cutting the trees back. But I fully intend on trying to get the right-of-ways cleared a little better. That's why we bought the extended arm mower in my first year. We're going to keep trying to cut further out, reach out and get those right-of-ways cleared, get those ditches working properly. Some of those areas, too, we have to use the contract because we can't reach that high. Some of those trees are so big, it's like driving through a tunnel in some of your areas. Yes, sir.
I'm Lee Sandstrom. I live in Canfield, have property out here in Ellsworth. And my question to you is, do businesses benefit from good roads?
Absolutely, I would think.
Is there a way, my son has a business up in Aurora. When they want to do something to make their roads better, their businesses pay for it. Is there a way to charge back to businesses? We won't go out to Sparkle on Western Reserve anymore because of the roads. Can't you get them to help fund this?
I don't know if we can or not. I don't know if we can assess them.
We can check into it.
Certainly look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Could you use the township people?
We're waiting for the prosecutor and the union
that
to
what the-
respond.
tell
Yeah,
them.
just for the legalities.
That's-
Denny knows that. Anytime we're waiting for an opinion internally, it takes a little while, but we need to make sure we have all of our legal bases covered.
Why don't you tell them what that is? I don't
Well,
think all
Denny-
these
Denny-
people know.
Suggested that if we bring the material to the townships, that the townships would patch the potholes. And, you know, it sounds easy and it sounds great, but there's a lot of legal ramifications that I have to make sure we're going to be covered on and make sure we don't run into any issues with our labor force as well.
If I could add anything to that, if we are paid through the county, that covers us under the liabilities and everything. So if I was to say, you know, I'll go out for
You want us
$1.
to pay you too, Denny? Come on.
$1. Just to I'll bring my own shovel. I'll pay you 10. But if we were able to, I was talking to our maintenance man, and he said it'd be a lot easier if we went and picked up the patch. If you would fund the patch, and then we would put it in. But then we were talking about the liability issue of if we were paid, if you took care of our maintenance man, and then I find a volunteer or two to go out for $1. If we get $1, does it cover us?
Yeah, I'm not the attorney here.
No, I'm just saying that.
That's what I'm trying to get the answer from, and even the attorney in our office has to go to his boss to find out. And, you know, on the other hand, too, you know, I also have a union, so I've got to make sure that they're not being cheated with their, you know, daily work and wages and things of that nature either.
I think they need to also look at this as pretty obscure circumstances.
I agree. I think it's a state of emergency. I agree with you 100%, and I think we definitely need to do something different. And since I got in, I've been preaching about we need to work together a little more closely. We have on some respects, and we've gotten further away on others, and we need to tighten it up, and that's my responsibility to do, and I'm pushing in every direction. It just takes a little while to get answers sometimes, not to my liking, but that's how it goes sometimes. Yes?
Pat, how many dollars do you estimate your revenue will be in 2015 from gasoline and
Total budget's going to be right around $10 million.
and how many miles do you maintain?
485 to be exact, almost 500. We have 290 bridges and about 3,000 culverts. And culverts range from a 12-inch to a 10-foot box culvert. It could be a small span bridge almost. Yes, Tom?
Pat, just, you gave a stat one time that I thought was very interesting. You compared Franklin County to Mahoning County, roads versus income. I think that speaks volumes.
Franklin County, the bulk of Franklin County is the city of Columbus, so they have about 240 county miles road. They have a $20 million budget. We have almost 500 miles of road. We have a $10 million budget. So, it's hard to compete. Columbiana County has 169 miles of county road, and their budget's a little smaller, but, it's hard to compare Mahoning and Trumbull, or Mahoning and Columbiana. Columbiana's a lot more rural. Their roads are different than our roads, and, they have less miles to maintain. Franklin County has less miles to maintain.
Plus, not to interrupt you, but plus, you remember one thing about Columbus. We all have to travel to Columbus. So we're all filling up our gas tanks in Columbus to come back to Youngstown or Mahoning County. So they're not only getting Franklin County monies, they're getting all of our monies here. So there should be a percentage of that should come back to the counties.
Another thing, too, that we're working on, we as the county pay gas tax. Kind of doesn't make sense. We're paying tax on the tax that pays us. So we don't even get all the money back that we pay in gas tax, and the association's been trying to get that changed so we're exempt from the gas tax since that's what's paying us. Not sure if that's going to change, but we're fighting. We're trying. Every little bit counts.
Government should be exempt.
Especially on the gas tax. The county engineer should be exempt.
Exactly.
So, moral of the story, I need everybody to buy an 85 Suburban that gets very poor gas mileage and drive it everywhere.
I drive everywhere. My car takes, I'm all over the place.
Yeah. Any other questions for Pat since he's up here? Probably give him a break. Thanks, Pat.